Hello and welcome back to episode 10 of the Camp Okema Podcast. My name is Jesse and I'm here with my two co-hosts, Landon and Caleb. Landon, how you doing, man?
I'm good. Good to be here. Went up north fighting fires for a little bit, came back, and we're living.
That's awesome. Did you put out any fires?
Like it rained the entire day. I went up there, so there's like nothing when we got there, but there's like a couple flames I got to put out. So
Right on, dude. Like pat on the back. Like,
yeah.
Thanks for coming out. Caleb, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, Jesse. No fighting fires for me, but been holding down the fort here. I was wondering, do you and Landon have like a separate group chat for your bucket hats that you coordinate, or is that just spontaneous? Oh, and the
Separate.
shades? Okay.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I also do not know what you're talking about.
Insane.
Caleb, I would just like to give a shout out to you and Marin. Just had your 8th wedding anniversary, correct?
8th. That's right. Number 8. Yep.
That's awesome. Here's to 8 more, and then many more after that. Guys, we're here tonight. Very special episode for the first time ever. Not one, but 2 extremely special guests. Cassidy, McMunn, and Samantha Lafreniere. Welcome to the podcast. How are you two doing?
Doing so good. So happy to be here.
It's an honor to make it on the pod. I can't believe everything has led to this moment.
So did you two, did we wait too long to invite you two on, or were you secretly nervous to get invited?
I figured it was like a matter of time considering that we're all friends. I wasn't too nervous. I think also you said pretty early on, we'll have to get you guys on. So, but I was nervous to be on the pod a little bit.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I knew that we'd get on the pod at some time. Honestly, episode 10, that's doing pretty good. Excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, thank you two very much for joining us. Longtime friends of the pod, and you two are family members as well, which is great, which we'll dive in on. So just part of the whole Camp Okema thing. We're all friends. We're all family to some extent. But let's start with questions. Caleb, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, sounds good. Sam, let's start with you, and then we can move over to Cass. So Sam, when did Camp Okema first enter into your life? What did it look like?
My first camp that I attended was a family camp. I think I was 7 years old. And yeah, it was with the Smiths. They were at the camp, which is why I guess I felt safe enough to go, although I don't think I was a really scared kid. My first ever camp, we didn't have the railings on the top bunks. And I rolled off of the top bunk, landed straight on my back. Imagine waking up in the middle of the night to the wind being knocked out of you.
That is a horrible feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, which night?
And then next year they had railings on the beds.
So you essentially, Sam, were the founder of the Okema bunk beds having railings?
Yes.
That is a huge claim to fame. I love that.
Well, I don't know if I'm the only one. I hope I'm the only one because I had back problems for actually a year and I was 7. So
that is awful, but also a very cool story.
Yeah, I think Brett Johnson and one of the Mitchell girls, Stephanie Mitchell, were my cabin leaders. I'm pretty sure.
I also have a bunk bed story where I fell off.
Yeah.
It was me and Grant McKee were sharing a bunk back before Okema at Island Lake. I fell off the top bunk. No, and I didn't wake up. And somehow I crawled into the bed below me. Didn't realize. Woke up, I was like Grant's feet. He screamed as loud as I could. I was wondering how I got there, and then my back was hurting all throughout the day. I'm like, oh, I think I fell off the bunk bed.
That's awesome.
What? Lumpy and Gumpy jumping on the bed. One fell off and bonked his head.
pretty much how it went. Yeah.
So I started at camp the year after that because there was railings on all the bunks. So that'd be 2007 small fry. So that was my first year at camp. Pretty big year. Stayed in cabin 2 that year. And I believe Sam was in my cabin, obviously. And our cabin leaders were Debbie and Lauren.
Wow,
Yeah.
shout outs.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out Deborah, Ryan, Lauren, Birmingham.
Those were 2 mainstays of those years. Did lots of camps with both those girls.
Yeah, there was a lot of icons that year. I met Jesse and Carmen, and that whole week, Jesse just called me Little Jade. Don't know if you remember that.
I'm pretty sure, Cass, there's a very cool photo of Lauren, Carmen, you and I sitting on the deck of 4 and 5. If I can find it, it'll be inserted here for YouTube. And it's either that year or maybe the year after. But every time I see that, I'm like, oh, that's definitely Cassidy. Or I guess, should I say, Little Jade?
Little Jade.
We'll bring that back for 2025.
Awesome. Can't wait.
Yeah, Cass, will stay with you. What were your first impressions of camp in those early years?
So I viewed camp kind of like, so Jade, my older sister, she would spend her whole summers at Okema, and I would be left at home, and I would just be like so sick that because Jade was gone for so long that anytime Jaded by Aerosmith came on the radio, I would just cry because I was like, Jade's gone all summer. Not exactly what Aerosmith was singing about. But that was my first impressions of camp, and then I started going, and then it was a great spot. Fun to play outside, hang out with all my cousins, basically.
Yeah. Jaded by Aerosmith is an unbelievable reach. You get a pass, obviously, because you're a child, but like in hindsight, that's hilarious.
Like, how often that song come on the radio?
It must have been a CD that my parents were just torturing me with, because I'd swear it was on the radio every time I got in the car, and I could just be so sad.
Well, I don't find listening to Aerosmith torture myself, but that sounds like it was traumatic for sure. Well, Salty, how about you? First impressions, those first couple of years?
First couple of years, honestly, I mean, I enjoyed it, but I don't think it became like so special to me until I hit like my teen years.
Mm-hmm. That's a very common feeling.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
kind
it
of,
was just like I don't think I took it seriously enough. Like I was kind of taken for granted. And then once I hit teen years, I was like, oh, this is it. This is the spot.
just to add to that, I think a lot of us, once you hit those teen years and you start having something resembling a mature or adult conversation with other teens or young adults around you, you start to realize the emotional impact that a place like Camp Okema is having on you, right? When you're 10 and you're just hitting the slide, hitting the beach, getting tuck, you know, lighting up the bunk bed and at 8:30 p.m. or whenever lights out is for small fry. Like it's just fun and you're just there. And then a teen, it's different.
Yeah. Sam, we'll start with you again. So you talked a little bit about kind of your early years as a camper. When did you start volunteering at camp? When did you kind of make that transition from going from camper into leader?
I can't remember the exact age, but I know that I was too young to cabin lead, but I was a cabin leader. It was a small fry, or it was a family camp, but it was when we did small fry family camp kind of mixed together. And Lisa, my aunt, was leading it, I think with Jen Isley. And I was with Victoria, who was cabin leading age. And we had just like a cute little cabin, a bunch of little girls in our cabin. And I think I would say I was 12, 13. I was like, whatever, I was 1 year below cabin leading age, but that was my start. And then I cabin led and went to camp every summer after that, which was a little bit difficult because my family had just moved to Wainwright. So we were 5 hours away instead of 3. So I couldn't be the kid who spent the whole summer, but I was able to be the kid who at least went for 1 or 2 weeks.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, that kind of resembles kind of my early years at Camp 2 when I lived in Carenport, because it was a trek. It was like 4 hours, and like 5 hours, that's a huge commitment. And like you said, you can't really commit to the full summer of camp, but I mean, it kind of goes to show how special Okema was that we were willing to do those drives kind of all the way back. And that's really cool that you were able to do around that age 12, 13, kind of get your toes wet a little bit. Maybe just a quick side comment before we jump to Cass's. What was it like leading with Victoria, your sister, that first year, if you can kind of remember that?
Well, Victoria and I, we shared a bedroom growing up. Like, we were so used to each other, and that was actually like peak us being just best friends. So it was awesome. It was the best. Like, we had such a good time. I can't remember any problems with it. And Victoria is a pretty good peacemaker. So if there were any problems, it was probably me starting them and Victoria being like, "Don't do this, Sam."
That's awesome. What about you, Cassidy? When did you start volunteering at camp?
I didn't ever have like a summer at Okema or volunteer like a lot as a teenager, but I think I cabin led a few times at 15. Otherwise, I just didn't have the opportunity to go up and volunteer for the summer. But once I graduated high school, I've been back for teen every year, and I've made that a big priority to get there every summer now.
You guys have any stories besides falling off bunk beds from your camper years, or even like your early volunteering years?
I had a habit of volunteering too young, being allowed to volunteer too young. So my first ever cabin leading, like I said, I was too young. I volunteered I cabin led junior teen, and I was the age of some of the campers. And my co-cabin leader was like an 80-year-old woman, and she was the best. I think her name was Ruth. Yeah.
Pause. You co-cabin led with someone in their 80s.
She maybe wasn't 80. Maybe that's like, maybe she just seemed 80, but she was old. She was old.
Okay.
Yeah, she was awesome. Lauren Birmingham was leading the camp, the junior teen camp. And it was like her old Sunday school teacher, which she got to cabin lead.
Oh.
And Ashley Gibson, Tori Carlton, who else? I'm gonna like miss someone really important that was in my cabin, because it was like, I think there was 5 of them, and they were just like the sweetest little cabin.
Around that time, around that time, that's like Alana, Randy.
Oh, Randy was in my cabin. Yep, Randy was
Okay.
there. Yeah. Alana wasn't in my cabin that year, but she's probably at the camp. Maybe it was Johanna too or something. I can't remember.
Mhm. Or like Layla, was she around?
I never cabin led Layla. Layla and I were too close in age to like hit that.
Sure.
But yeah, and then also my first year teen camp was also too young. Technically I was 17, but I was so pumped to just join the staff. Yeah. As far as camp like stories go, I think one thing that I just like loved, or like just such a funny camp story, was the one time. It was one of the years, and Landon, you were probably a camper. I think you definitely were a camper. And it was when Jesse and Kaleb, I think you were cabin leading that year too, were just like, we shared a wall. So Cass and I were in 4-5. I think Cass was cabin leading with me that year. And you guys were in 5. And we could hear you guys through the wall.
Mhm.
And it was after night game, and Marcel, Carmen and Amber in the cabin interrogating one of my campers. I'm not going to name drop. One of my campers about holding hands with Derek during night games. And we can hear like Carmen and Amber are interrogating, and then all of a sudden it's just quiet. We let her be because she's like not answering. And Marcel, we can just hear him go, "Hey, Derek, where'd you get those socks? I saw you taking them off. You threw them at a tree, and I saw you holding hands with name redacted during the night game." and everyone could hear it. I think all the girls just screamed, and it was so hilarious.
I can recall that moment too. Awesome
was-
story.
It's so infamous. It's so awesome. I think that year we had like a prank war too. Then my girls got
Mhm.
really mad because the boys stole their pillows and they're like, they're gonna fart on them. And I was like, oh, calm down.
We're not animals.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I said.
Well, actually, I did go out pretend to be an animal outside the door. It's hard to deal with,
Did anyone wake up? Did it work?
I don't know. I think people were saying like, "What was that noise?"
Landon, weren't you like crab walking? Didn't you do like a crab
Yeah,
walk?
go
Like,
take a crab
it
walk.
was like go out there, go out on the deck and do a crab walk. See what they do. And it was like, what?
Was that an odd, perchance?
Yeah, oh, definitely wrong. Yeah,
Oh, the summer of odds was good.
That
too.
was that summer. That was that summer.
was.
Absolutely.
2017.
Yeah, summer of odds was crazy. I remember Jesse eating the napkin that Amber from
Oh.
Amber's plate, and I'm sitting right beside her, and I just see her go. I can't even say it's so funny. He just goes, I just blew my nose into that, and just it was so funny.
Odds, it comes for us all. Just to add to that, cabin prank war, we thought we were geniuses. We had the girls dead to rights. It's the night game, so like Wednesday or Thursday. And we're in there, like we got the blueprints on the wall. We got guys like, the pieces of yarn, like we got the whole elaborate plan ready to go. Obviously we didn't, but it was that level of planning. And we had a bare light bulb in cabin 5. And our thinking was, we'll watch the door, we'll sneak around. Someone will go in, someone will hop on the other guy's knees, and he'll just unscrew that light bulb, and we'll just be on our way. And they'll come back and they'll have no lights. It's the perfect plan. So we're in there, our Mission Impossible lane through the trees. I'm out front. We have a bird call that we're using to relay messages to one another. And the two guys in the cabin are in there, and they're in there, and they're in there. And I'm looking, and I'm starting to do the call. Guys, what's taking so long? What's taking so long? I walk up and I look inside, and there's a screwed in cover over top of the light bulb. Cut it off. And our plan is foiled. Grab the pillows.
So funny.
Yeah. So that was the fallback, was the pillows, in case anybody was wondering. I think the light bulb would have been way better, but
The light bulb would have been awesome. Like that would have been, and I wish we'd have thought about it because your light bulb wasn't covered.
no. Yeah, just a foolish mistake. Anyways, Cassidy, any stories or fun anecdotes from those early years?
I've honestly got a horrible memory for this kind of stuff. Like I just really lived through everyone else's stories. Specifically, I remember like in early years, one craft was making a duct tape wallet. And I remember thinking like, I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever made. I made one that was like a duct tape tractor and gave it to my brother because I was like, this is peak gift giving. Otherwise, like small camp, just the entirety of small camp. That was my first teen year, and just like look back on it so fondly when like, what was there, 10 of us, 12 of us, and we just did all the activities together as a group, and it was just yeah, that was a great year. Sam and I and 2 others had like a Kaiser game going all week because it just kept raining, so we'd play Kaiser just like at any time. So that was.
I remember at small camp. First of all, Cassidy and I were so excited because we hadn't been, because we were a year apart and 2 grade levels apart. So we were really excited. So we hadn't been at the same camp for I think 2 years. So we were so excited to be together. But I also remember for small camp, Cassidy forgot to pack any pants, and it was the coldest week we've ever spent at camp. And so she only had shorts. She had like pants, guys, but like she didn't have. Yeah, she only had shorts. So she's wearing shorts all week, and just still cold, literally all week. I don't think it got above 12 degrees all week.
That's brutal.
And she was just still her favorite week.
I didn't even remember that I forgot pants. That's how much it didn't matter. That's how great the week was.
That's an all-time blunder. I showed up to team pantsless. Like, that's a small fry thing to do for sure, and you're just pulling it in team.
But I did remember like a big white bed sheet for toga day, so that's what
Yeah.
matters.
Yeah, that is what matters.
Totally
And
redeemed
you can have
yourself.
pants peeking at the bottom of your toga.
Yeah, exactly. How embarrassing.
Yes, let's kick it off with you. So kind of going back to those early days of camp, and just talking about all those memories that we went through. We already know that you guys have name dropped a couple people. But is there anyone that you kind of want to shout out from your early days, whether that's staff or campers, or leaders that kind of made an impact for you in those early days that kind of made you want to keep coming back to camp?
Yeah, there were so many and these classics have been named, I swear, on every podcast so far. Steve and Yvonne were staples in all the small fry years. Absolutely. There was always a grout being a lifeguard, or I remember Brett Johnson too. And I was like, those are the coolest people ever, being a lifeguard. Like, are you kidding? And then when we get into the older years, Amber and Carmen really made teen camp an iconic week of my summer that just other people who hadn't been to teen camp couldn't understand how incredible it is.
Yeah.
And my first couple cabin leaders, Lauren, Debbie, I always had a cousin, Alex, Vic, they cabin led me too. Never had Jade, but that was probably, for the best. Well, love her, but she loves me too. But it's listening to your sister at camp too. It's not everyone wants to do that.
Everyone deserves a break.
Would you say you're a little bit jaded?
See, come back again.
Salt, what about you? Campers or other staff? A shout out from those early days?
Yeah, so many. And everyone Cassidy named for sure. Yeah, Carmen was a cabin leader and had kind of on and on and on. And just had some crazy times in that cabin, and just I was my most wild self in that cabin. It's specifically to drive Carmen crazy, I think. There were so many things that we did. And we had a crazy cabin. I think that we were put in that cabin together to make Carmen's life miserable. I remember there were three girls. It wasn't me. Three other girls who all had boyfriends at camp. And then it was me and two other friends. And we were just running wild and could not be contained. We would get hot chocolate. And it was there was something in the hot chocolate. We would literally just run laps around camp. Shout out Portia and Greta. Portia's actually coming back to teen camp this year, so we're bringing her back.
Wow.
Yeah, which is the biggest win. I'm so excited. And yeah, Portia and I once got in a Jello fight. We took Jello from Mana and brought it outside and threw it at each other. Also at teen camp, we used to be able to scoop our own whipped cream on the Jello. So I just took a bowl of whipped cream, and I was like, this is actually disgusting in practice. And then I just had a bunch of whipped cream, and I put it on a spoon, and I slingshot flung it at Carmen, and it hit her right in the chest. It was just so bad. Yeah, poor Carmen that week. She made us walk without our knees for a while. We lost the privileges of using our knees. Because we so
I didn't even think
misbehaved.
of that as a.
I don't know. And why did we follow through with it? We were we can't use our knees. But yeah, definitely. Yeah, those cats. And then honestly, the whole young adult group, that was around Kaleb, you, Jesse, Amber, Carmen, Marin. I remember when I was in high school, I came along to the Okema on the road.
Mhm.
And I just I had never felt so supported and it was just like that was like what was life changing, and that's why I wanted to come as staff. Like over coming as a camper my last year was because I was just such good friends with the staff, and I was just so excited to like join that group.
Okema on the Road will have to be a episode.
Oh, 100%, 100%.
Maybe
Like
Okema
just
in the
doing it?
city. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out Justin Clark, friend of the pod. Okema in the city and Okema on the Road.
Yeah.
They need to be studied, if anything.
Yes.
What were we thinking? But some great memories from those. Absolutely. Sorry, please continue.
I think that sums it up. I think I've said too much already.
Well, those are awesome. Thank you both for sharing. Camps are in full swing at Camp Okema, but there's still time to join the fun. Whether your child is a first timer or a returning camper, we've got something for everyone, from small fry to teen camp and even family and canoe camps. Spots are filling up, so don't wait. Head to campokema.com, check out the schedule, and get registered. Unplug, make new friends, grow in faith, and make this summer one to remember. See you at Camp Okema. Yeah. And we're back with our guests, Cassidy and Samantha, aka Salty. Landon, over to you.
So let's get into it. You guys have led your first young adult weekend. Now you're stepping up into the big leagues. You're going to be leading your first team camp. What are your thoughts about it? Are you excited? Start with Cass.
Absolutely. It's an honor to join the teen camp leading ring. I've had a few years of young adult retreat under my belt now. And Sam and I did it last year. So we learned we can work together, but we already knew that. And yeah, I'm super excited to lead teen camp and be exhausted, you know?
That's very real. Salty, what about you?
Yeah, honestly, I feel like, yeah, Cass and I leading teen camp, it feels like a long time coming. This year finally was the right year. And just like couldn't be more excited, but also like it's scary. Like so like massive shoes to fill here. And we definitely feel that pressure.
Is that a joke at how large my feet are, or are you just trying to be nice?
Whoa, both. Yeah.
I wear size 9.5.
Maybe we wear the sensor shoes, but it still feels like a big deal.
Yeah.
Who let this guy on the podcast, honestly?
I
Sam.
sometimes have to shop in the youth section. It's crazy out there.
Salty, please continue your thought before we so quickly interrupted.
Yeah, just massive shoes to fill. I have like lived and breathed teen camp, I feel like, for the past like since I was 17 and did my first year cabin leading. I just genuinely love it. It's my favorite week of the year every summer. And even last year, like I had to be a cabin leader, even though I was also working my full-time job at camp. Like there was just no other option for me.
Well, you two, I mean, it's funny because Landon goes like you're getting the call up from, the minors, and you're in the big leagues now. And to an extent that is true, obviously, but you two have been putting your time in. And since I came back to teen camp in 2015, you two have been there, just mainstays, just grinding, just all those weeks leading. Like it's very cool for all of us to see you two moving into this new role. And I, for one, am very excited to see what you two have coming. And with that in mind, do you have any activities that you're willing to share?
We don't reveal too much because we'd like campers to, just sign up for camp and join us in August for the week. So if you haven't done that, please do so. I think we're gonna start off day one with campaign team boot camp. Get things going.
Wow.
Yeah, we say boot camp, but it's not going to be like hard work. It's going to be like, team building activities. We want to pair each team with a coach, a staff member coach, probably someone who has already served on that team, a legacy coach. Landon, I feel like you might be getting a little excited there. I know you're going to maybe want to help your team out. No? No.
I'm not excited about this.
This guy lives and breathes Team Whitbread.
I know he
couldn't be
does.
more excited. Yeah.
No. But yeah, so that's our first activity day. Apart from that, we have some theme days planned, but we want to keep that a little bit below belt. But we've got some crazy things. I found a walker by a dumpster, and that's coming to camp with me.
That's awesome.
And there's one day that we just hope that everyone survives.
Oh, wow.
Also, it sounds scary, not scary. And Cass, do you want to talk about our last thing that we agreed to share? Not really an activity, but like an event, I guess.
On Thursday, I think we're just gonna grow older together. And we might go on a field trip. You never know. We'll see where the week takes us.
Nice. We're going to a local old folks' home. Let's go.
That'd be awesome, actually. Might rate that.
How old are we growing together? Like ballpark.
How old can we go? Is maybe the question you should ask yourself.
I'm confused now. It feels like a riddle. Caleb, how old?
Survive.
Caleb, how old would you be willing to go?
How old? 62.
That's not that old.
It's dreamy.
You're giving up really early. My
lot
dad
of-
just turned 16.
Maybe give or take a couple years. We'll see.
I really hope so.
Yeah, don't take.
Don't take any.
I really hope so. Okay, well, that's really exciting. I love keeping stuff a secret. Campers, if you're listening, campokema.com. You can register there if you haven't already. What are we looking forward to most at Teen Camp? If there's like one thing that now that you're leading, you absolutely cannot wait to dive into, Cassidy.
Sam and I kind of share this, and I'm just so excited to be exhausted and tired and stressed, but also the most relaxed and happy I am all year. I'm excited to see like all the faces again at camp, all the kids, staff, everything like that.
Yeah, along those lines, like with that exhaustion just comes like just like so many giggles. Like it is so fun to just be exhausted and be in this place where it's so loving and accepted, and to just like make fun of your friends together in a way that everyone can laugh. I'm so excited to laugh at campers. I'm so excited to laugh at staff. I'm so excited to make people do ridiculous things. Yeah, teen camp, like the thing that I know, Jesse, you've talked about this, and Caleb, like teen camp is like our staff that we get. They just will take them exactly where you want them to go and further. You can plan the most ridiculous day, and the like staff will sell it. And I'm so excited to see that happen.
Like our ideas come to fruition
In ways that
Yeah.
we like, in ways bigger than we can imagine and plan for. So yeah, very excited.
I completely relate to that. Our WWE day comes to mind. Caleb's amazing job coming to life, and us just playing the characters, and all the staff that volunteered their time to that. Just as an example to anyone who was there last year. great time. But this is kind of, we didn't send you this question, it just came to mind. Do you have any, or can you shout out staff that are coming to volunteer? I know you mentioned Portia, which is a huge kind of like throwback for some real heads to have to remember Portia. So is there anybody else maybe you want to show some love to?
Ivy, Layla,
Sorry, you think cats.
Melissa, Gumpy, Lumpy, Kaden. Who else we got going on? Jesse will be there.
Yeah.
Beth and Nathan making a return.
My sister, I believe, will be there.
Which one?
Alex, and then also maybe Vic for part of the week.
Cool.
Trying Tira maybe.
We have more. I feel like we're gonna miss people, and then they're gonna be sad that they weren't shouted out. Yeah, we've got a good staff, really great staff coming. Cannot wait to have everyone there. I've heard rumors, and I don't want to even speak them into fruition, but I've heard rumors that Katrin is still hoping to come to teen camp.
Whoa.
So that would be so incredible. We will take her in whatever capacity. Even if she just wanted to visit for a day, we would be so excited. So yeah, heard some, and staff list not finalized. If you feel like coming and volunteering at teen camp this year, can guarantee you a fun time.
Send us a DM.
That's awesome.
And that's a
Yeah.
DM.
If you can cook a mean mac and cheese.
Even if you can't, that's okay. Alex will be in there. She'll teach you how to cook a meat.
Okay. Yeah, there we go. Okay.
Yeah.
With Alex at the helm, like the kitchen is gonna be incredible. Do you guys remember last year? Best food I've had at camp ever.
Yeah. That's awesome. Folks, if you're listening and you would like to volunteer at teen camp, please DM Cass and Sam. Let's talk about the campaign. Back for its 6th year. Listeners, I've prepared a little bit to go over the campaign, some rules, the teams, some lore, and then we'll go into predictions for 2025. The campaign, first starting in 2019, is a week-long competition. All of the campers are divided into 4 teams. There is a challenge or a game once, sometimes twice a day. Scores are tallied throughout the week, with the team scoring the most points crowned as champion on Friday night or the last night. Okay. The teams are named after 4 Camp Okema families. Team Morton, named after Ted Morton, who we just spoke about on an episode recently, involved with the building of the cabins. Team Whitbread, I named this team after Matt, Vanjie, and Dan, my first cabin leader, my first camp leader. Just very important family to my sister and I's upbringing at Camp Okema. Team Mitchell, I mean, unless you got wax in your ears, you have to know who this is about. Steve and Yvonne, thank you so much. And Team Holmes is named after my sister, one of the long-standing teen camp leaders, the person that brought me back to camp, and I guess technically also is my last name. Just a small detail.
Yeah, what a coincidence.
What a coincidence. We have had 5 campaigns. We did not get to have the campaign in 2020 for obvious reasons. We have had 5 championship pillowcases hung up now in the rafters of Manor House. And this year we will see its 6th. Some fun nuggets for everyone. year by year so far. 2019, Team Mitchell won the inaugural campaign in 2019. A fun fact about Team Mitchell, they never finished first place in a single activity that week. Let that sink in. Team Mitchell did not win a single activity that week, but still came out on top, narrowly squeaking out Team Morton by only 20 points to win their first ever and the first ever campaign. Team Holmes went first, and tied for first to start the week, jumping out to a huge lead, and followed it up with a third, did not finish, and fourth.
I remember that didn't finish.
They did not win in 2019. Whitbread started with a third, fourth, only to run off 3 straight firsts to end the week, but still finished third place.
I remember one of those being the unfair game, and
And
Little
it's
tracks.
what is it? What's the unfair game?
it's just
yeah.
not pretty fair. Yeah, it tracks. It makes sense.
The unfair game is a trivia game. You read off which card your team is going to take. If you answer, you have to say beforehand, do you want to keep the points or do you want to give them away? If you answer the question correctly, those points are applied depending on what your team said. Sometimes you're gaining 500, sometimes you're losing 500, sometimes you're giving away 300, sometimes you're being given 200, and so on. It is incredibly unfair, and we have seen some epic last question swings of points over the last couple of years for big victories. So yes, incredibly unfair. We hear it all the time. 2021, we're back from COVID. Team Holmes finished first on day one. Second time in a row that had happened up to that point. Team Mitchell, returning champs, finished fourth that day. Team Mitchell won first on the 5th challenge of the week. If you follow me here, that is the 12th challenge of the campaign up until that point, and that was the first time they had won. It took 12 challenges until they had won one. For context, Whitbread had the second longest streak of not winning, and it was only 5. So Team Mitchell had went 12 times before they finally finished first place. That is crazy. In 2021, Team Morton finished first once, but never higher than third after that, including 3 last place finishes. Team Mitchell would go on to win their second straight and the second ever campaign. 2022, Team Mitchell went first to start the week. The second time ever that someone had gone first to start a week. And Team Holmes would do it again in 2024. Morton in 2022 won twice, which is more than both Holmes and Whitbread. Follow me here. Team Morton won twice, which is more than both Holmes and Whitbread, and still finished last in the overall standings. Team Mitchell, really, it was never in doubt in 2022. They have to be on there for one of the greatest ever. 3rd straight title. The Chicago Bulls, the New York Yankees, the Los Angeles Lakers, the Montreal Canadiens, Team Mitchell. 2023, Team Whitbread ends the streak not only by winning their first ever campaign, but by ending the 3-year run of Team Mitchell. Team Whitbread actually trailed early that week. A couple players not even coming in until about midweek, especially after a Tuesday night unfair game when they got just toasted on the last play of the game and then just ran the show the rest of the way. Holmes and Morton also had very strong weeks, fell short in the end. This was Team Mitchell without any of what I refer to as the core 4. They had all aged out. Kate, Robbie, Katrin, and Hannah. They finished in last place for the first time in franchise history. So after 3 straight firsts, they finished last. So life comes at you fast. 2024, Team Morton, they win night one, and that was the first time a team other than Holmes or Mitchell had won the first night. Holmes had 4 first-place finishes in 2024, the most ever in a single campaign. Team Morton had 1 win, 3 seconds, and finished second for the first time since 2019. And Team Whitbread finished second once, but was never higher than 3rd or 4th after that. They will have the first overall pick for the 3rd time already. Team Whitbread going into 2025. Team Holmes captured their first campaign title, marking the 3rd team to win it. Guys, gals, any questions or comments on those nugs I prepared for you on the campaign?
Lumpy, how do you feel about Whitbread kind of, not being the best for quite a while?
To be fair, there was a 2-year stint when I should have been, or like only 19, we were right in the running. There's a couple bad bounces, like 35 points away from the victory. That's pretty good.
Yep.
And 2020 was going to be our year. But
We'll never know.
Yeah.
It may not have been.
It only was, agree, disagree.
I can buy that, Lumpy. 2020, if Rory and Josh had come in to Team Whitbread at that time and you were still there, I think it probably plays out differently. Or it plays out however it does for 2020.
Yeah. And then, a bit of a rough stint, but they got their cup, they got their name on the banner. So it's all about. And yeah, it's a rough little restart here, but when you give it your all, you put all your chips on the table. Sometimes it's just best to walk away from the table after that. And they did that, and that's fine.
So true.
Kaleb, I think you had some thoughts on the campaign.
I mean, if we're going to get into predictions, so I'll just preface this by saying, once I heard we were talking about the campaign, I did a little bit of research. I spent too much time on this afternoon and this evening. But what I came up with was I essentially related each team to a professional sports team. So I'm going to share that with you today. I didn't run these by Jesse. I didn't run them by Landon. I didn't run them by Cass or Sam. I'm curious to see if you also think this is true. If not, feel free to send a strongly worded email to us at the pod. Okay. But I'm going to walk us through it, see what you think. Okay. Team Morton are the Edmonton Oilers. Okay.
Oh man, too soon.
Hear me out.
I've got war wounds right now.
Yeah, we're still grieving.
That's right. It is very fresh. Okay.
Yeah.
It's very fresh. But they have my McDavid, who is AJ. Okay. And they have an amazing cast of players, one of the best overall teams of the year, and they stand by that. But if they don't do it this year, if they can't get it done this year, I don't think they're going to be back for quite some time. Okay, they were the runner-up last year, and they can't be the runner-up this year. They need the crown. They need it now, or it's not going to happen. However, my prediction is Morton wins it this year. Okay?
That is my prediction as well. And I've been low-key Team Morton since the beginning, and it's been a rough 5 years. So, yeah, Morton for the
And yeah, I'm thinking, and I'm an Oilers fan too, so like, yeah, I don't know, Morton, that they speak to me a little bit. So I hate that reference just because yesterday was fresh. But I think you might be right there, Kaleb.
Okay, perfect.
It's
Love
that
it.
believes, because every year everyone's saying this is our year. Every year. And what is it? Not their year.
Bring the cup home, That's what Morton's saying.
Yep. If I may, on Team Morton, Kaleb, I think that's a great team. I do agree. We spoke about this before, and I just want to pack this home. 2 first overall picks on the team, an aged core. Like next year, potentially 3, if not 4 of them are gone. Yeah. And I know they're the last to win, and there's just some like expectation when you look at the names and you see what they've done, and everybody knows who I'm cheering for. Like, I guess I should maybe put that out there. But I just as like a sports fan, like, don't you just want to see this like play out? Like, it feels like a bit of like Team of Destiny sort of thing, right?
Everyone loves an underdog. Everyone feels like it's their year. There's also something about campers who haven't won when they're
Yeah.
aging out. Like we've got three, like we've got Tora, Elise, and AJ, who are such strong competitors and who just completely bring it. And they're not like they're not putting half of themselves into these events. They're putting all of themselves every single time. And you just want it for them, regardless of whether you cheer for the team name. I think we all kind of cheer for those players because we just, they put so much into it.
I completely agree. There's 3 fan favorites on that team for sure that everyone's just like, please. Kaleb, back to you.
Well, speaking about fresh, okay, Team Holmes are the Florida Panthers, okay? They're looking for, hear me out, they're looking for their second straight cup. And there's quite a big story because there was a major injury last year, right? So we have Ashton returning for some glory, okay? We know he's a big game player, all right? And even though he was seriously injured last year, much like Kachuk was injured in the finals this year, but he still was able to get the cup, okay? I think keeping everyone on that team healthy is a major key to winning it for the second repeat. They have a lockdown defense, all right? We saw that last year. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can get it for the repeat. However, I have placed Team Holmes in second place. Jesse, you're shaking your head. What's going on?
Man, I just like Team Holmes is obviously my pick this year. I mean, I love them with my whole heart, obviously. Listen, Ashton's back. That's great. There's still some like unprovenness to that scenario, you know, like, yeah, he was great a couple summers ago on a Holmes team that didn't win, you know, ran into a brick wall that was Team Mitchell. He's back again. Like, to me, he could be awesome, obviously, but to me, like, it's Rachel and Lara. Like, those two, and the loss of Katrina, I mean, just if
And
those,
Emily was Holmes too, right? Sorry.
yeah,
And she's working the summer. So she's also,
she's gone.
she's in the kitchen. She's in the kitchen all summer.
Okay, so I had thought potentially 5, maybe just 4 returning players then. But like those 3 that I mentioned, I hear you guys on Morton. I'm taking my 3 with Team Holmes. I believe in them. They've done it. They've won. They've done it. And there's still something to play for in 2025. Who's next?
I was going to stick with the NHL. And then I took a deeper dive. Like I said, spent too much time on this. And I'm moving over to MLB. Okay. Jesse may get after me for this one. This is Jesse's wheelhouse. He's our guru. We'll see what he thinks about this. Okay. Next up, Team Whitbread are the Washington Nationals. Okay. No, hear me out. The Washington Nationals won the World Series in 2019. Okay. Just like how Whitbread won in 2023. They finally got their cup. Major story. Everyone was happy about it. Okay.
That's true.
However, after their historic win, okay, they are far from the top right now. If you look at the Nationals 2020 season, yes, it was shortened due to COVID, but they dropped off a bit and they haven't been able to recover, okay? And I think that is similar to Whitbread, all right? I think they're in a little bit of a slump. They finished last place last year. You go champion, you go from top of the house down to the basement. That's tough, okay? They need to focus on their prospects, all right? They need to focus on these young people coming in, and they really need to tap into those to avoid a full rebuild and be out of the championship for another number of years. Okay, I have Whitbread finishing 3rd place.
Really?
That is where I have them. Was that a good baseball analogy, Jesse? I don't really know baseball, but that was my best bet.
That was good. I don't think you reached too far. That makes sense to me.
I thought that was crazy.
The rest of you were like losing your mind while he was talking. I couldn't tell if you were like, someone have something to add?
Come out of my ears. They're just
Yeah, we could just see Lumpy's like silent rage, and it was so funny.
Actually,
Lumpy.
a quick check with you, Jesse. Who's the head coach of the Nationals right now? Do you know?
Davey Martinez.
Davey Martinez. So if Landon is our legacy coach for Whitbread, is Landon similar to this Martinez guy?
This is hilarious because he was just in the news like 2 days ago because he came out and said that the team sucks, but it's not the coach's fault. Like
that's
2 days
exactly what I
ago.
was saying.
Like 2 days ago. Anyways, Lumpy, you are the resident and legacy Whitbread team member. Like, you must have some thoughts here.
Yeah. And listen, it's Campaign Cup. Anything's possible. Right? Listen, are the odds in our favorite? No, but you're talking about underdog stories. What's an underdog story if not Team Whitbread right now? All right. We got they'll pull their boots up. We'll get in there. We'll show you what's what. All right. Would I be saying this if I might not be the coach right now? I don't know.
Brother, I think you guys have
Who are big return people on Whitbread?
Doesn't
Kaylin
matter.
and Maddie.
Colin and Maddie.
Doesn't
That's
matter.
it? You need 2 of them, hey?
See, like,
That's a
after
building.
that, after that is question marks. Like, I mean, they have first overall for sure. They're
Yeah.
probably going to get a bonus player because they'll be short.
Yeah.
Lumpy,
Wow.
that's
You
not
mean
a
the
recipe
Mariners?
that is not a recipe for success in the campaign. You know it, bro.
Team Mitchell, first year. It was all their first years in the campaign. They went and won it. And they went on a 3-year streak.
Yeah, but it was the first year of campaign ever. It was everybody's first year. in the
It was
camp.
unprecedented, exactly. Salty's right. There was no standard, you know.
You want to see unprecedented? You're going to see it this summer, buddy.
Listen,
That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
yeah. Hear me out. And I want Team Whitbread to use this, like, you know, when a guy on a radio show talks smack about a team and they like cut it and like play it in the locker room and go like, yeah, I want Team Whitbread to cut me right now and just be like, I don't see it for 2025. And if I'm being honest with you, I don't see it for next year either. And like, you know what? Go out there and prove me wrong. Play this video clip while you dance on my grave. I do not care.
You better believe when
Nice.
I get dubs.
They're gonna be in 4th, brother, at the end of that week.
Where do you get the nerve? Something like that. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I hope I'm not actually hurting anybody's feelings, but I'm just doing it more for the dramatics.
When he's
That-
putting on the shades because he has a couple tears coming down his cheeks. I can see.
Blocking out the haters.
Cassidy, did you have some thoughts on Team Whitbread or Holmes or Morton that we've touched on so far?
I don't have a lot of feelings. I'm still a little burned by Morton being Edmonton. But Holmes being Florida, I can see that as well. I don't know baseball that well, but there's been a lot of smack talk on Whitbread, and you know, I just don't count them out. You know, you never know what. Maybe they'll listen to this podcast and be like, we need to start training now. We don't know what they're capable of. So anything's possible in Campaign Cup. Plus,
really
that's
don't.
Rolling Day. Who knows what's gonna happen?
Cassidy says, "Oh, they're gonna listen to this podcast, bro. Who's on their team? Whomst is listening? Like, they have 2 players. Like,
We don't know. We don't know who's gonna sign up for team camp this year. We don't know who's gonna be drafted first overall. It could be a heavy hitter. You know.
Yeah, remember like our blind picks? Like when we just don't know, and then we got Laura. and we
Yeah.
had no idea what kind of like player she'd be, and then we just like gave our good team an excellent player, and we're like, oh shoot.
Mitchell
When
had that. Holmes had that. It's kind of just part of it, but I
it's
get
been
what you're
part of
saying.
it. And
I
you
get what
just
you're
never
saying.
know if Whitbread's gonna get a bunch of those players.
Mm-hmm. Caleb, I believe you have one team left.
Okay, lastly, and then we can move on. All right. I decided to jump to the National Basketball Association, okay, for this last team, which is funny because Jesse name dropped this team while he was going through the campaign. So I thought that was funny. But I had Team Mitchell as my Los Angeles Lakers, okay? They are the LA
Wow.
Lakers, the most successful franchise in campaign history and a household name, all right? Dominant during their dynasty, but in recent years have seen a slip in standings. All right. They have high expectations set on them by essentially everyone at the camp and any of the fan base sitting at home. Okay. And I think they should focus. This is my key takeaway for Mitchell. I think they should focus on new player integration and team chemistry. Okay. They need to focus on those new team players coming up, focus on that team chemistry. And I think they could return to glory at that point. But their veterans need to step in and show the young guns how to do it so that they can bring them back in their full glory. However, I have Mitchell finishing last this year in the campaign. It's a hot take. Hands on the head from Jesse. Landon still crying. Okay. Sam and Cass, what do you think?
Again, just remind me who's returning because I have to.
If
Them.
if my list is correct, Bella, Sydney, Kaylee, Michael.
Okay, Michael
I
definitely
just
not. But
okay, Michael's
oh wait,
Mary.
Michael maybe actually. Sorry.
Mary.
Mary was a maybe.
Okay.
I just talked to her on Sunday. Yeah, kind of depending on work, but okay, wow, yeah, who knows?
And if we get into veteran coaching, we've got the greatest of all time, Katrin, as a potential coach for Team Mitchell. If anybody knows how to put a name on a banner, it's her. So I wouldn't count Team Mitchell out either. I've got a little bias. Caitlin, my sister, was on Team Mitchell, and that's my only family tie to the campaign. I didn't get to compete in the campaign, but I got to see her name on the banner and my cousin Quinlan's. So that's just, cheering for the home team.
Listen, Lakers, excellent. Some maybes on the roster, obviously, but I think that we're starting to see like the makings of like, a core, right? After last year, just kind of like we're right back starting over. Haley was on the team that won in 23. So we still have, 22. So we still have some championship pedigree on the roster. I think like a steal at second overall could push them into contention. I don't know. Like, to me, they're third. I just think Holmes and Morton are kind of like just two Goliaths and then everybody else. And once again, Team Mitchell chopped this up and dance on my grave when you win the campaign. It's like I said, it's cool. But like either a huge sleeper at second overall that just like runs the show, or they probably don't get out of third place for me. Lumpy?
You don't know squat. Maybe this is me living my glory days, but I remember 20.
Buddy, you never won.
No. But I will say this: in 2019, Mitchell's and Whitbread, we had like we were in cahoots, like we were conspiring. Like one of us, Whitbread, we knew we weren't gonna win, but we're like we're gonna make sure that Team Holmes doesn't win. We were pretty much trying to take Team Holmes down, and it worked. Mitchell won, and they're very thankful for our help. I'll tell you that.
We get that in writing from Team Mitchell because I don't know if I believe that.
I was gonna say, can we check in with Team Mitchell and see if it's? I feel like Landon's like, yeah, we did a good service to Team Mitchell.
Let the
Campfire on the line.
No, it's true. You can ask. Maybe it was just Robbie. Maybe it was just me and Robbie were in cahoots together, but it felt like his entire two-team thing. Anyway, I get nothing but respect for Team Mitchell, and I feel like it's gonna be the same thing this year. It's either gonna be Whitbread or Mitchell at the top, and there's nothing you can do about it.
I love the parody of the choices. I cannot believe some of the reaches, though, Lumpy. Like, your credentials as a analyst for the Campaign Cup are coming into question with some of these takes. I have to be honest with you.
It's the Campaign Cup.
Unbelievable. Caleb, please.
That was the end of my prediction. So, like I said to any of the listeners, if you disagree, please write in. If you have better team comparisons, please write in. Please call in. I don't know. We don't have a landline, so you might just have to DM or something. We could look at that, though, about getting a landline so you could call in. But that is my predictions. All right. Like Jesse said, take everything with a grain of salt because, like Landon said, it's the Campaign Cup. Need we say more?
Yeah.
Hey, Camp Okema fam. Looking for one more weekend at camp before the snow flies? Join us for Young Adults Retreat happening September 12th to 14th. Now in its 5th year, this retreat is your chance to reconnect with friends, enjoy camp life, and be part of the community, even if you're no longer a camper. Led by Jesse Holmes and Caleb Schultz, it's a weekend of fun, fellowship, and all the things you love about Camp Okema. You just need to be 18 or older to register. We'll meet Friday night and wrap up Sunday afternoon. Don't miss out. Come back to camp this fall. We'll see you there.
All right, everyone. We are back. Camp Okema Podcast. We're here with our special guests, Cassidy and Sam. All of us have cooled down after a very heated debate over the Campaign Cup going into 2025. It's time to laugh about something more fun. Are you two ready?
Yeah.
Sure.
Picture this. You're in Manor House. You're lined up. Your favorite meal is being served. You can't wait. Cassidy, when you get up to the front, what is it?
Not to be basic, but it's the baked oatmeal. I think about it all year. I like the syrup, so much syrup, some fruit in there, but baked oatmeal for sure. Tacos sometimes, but it's the baked oatmeal from camp that I really think about.
Salty?
Yeah, tacos are good. But I think it's the mac and cheese for me. Specific like Gene, like I mean we haven't had it for a long time, but Gene Gibson's mac and cheese way back when that was just like I don't know if there was anything better. And no, I do not put ketchup on it.
Oh.
But when I was working at camp, I did have a thing of Frank's Red Hot Sauce in the fridge.
Just to eat on its own or to put on your mac and cheese?
Well, it depended on the day. So yes, on my mac and cheese.
Excellent choices. Those two have to be the most popular meals. They just keep coming up, keep coming up, keep coming up.
All right. Picture this. Okay. The bell rings in the morning for breakfast. All right. Sam, you and Cass are walking over to go line up with your cabin. And as you're walking by Manor House, Cass smells and she says, you know what? I think we're having baked oatmeal for breakfast. And we know it's her favorite. Sam's like, no way, I smell mac and cheese. I think that's for breakfast too. How is it both of our favorites for breakfast? Unbelievable. You go and line up with your cabin, but before we can go inside, we have to sing a grace. What is your favorite grace?
I like Who's the King of the Jungle? I don't know, like I honestly like I don't think there's a grace I don't like. Yeah, Georgia, who's the king of the jungle? Yeah, bubble, bubble, bubble is like the best part in my opinion. And then we thank the brown cow, and that's like a great one because it's like breakfast specific.
Yeah.
Which is fun. And then like Johnny Appleseed, I just think, especially at teen camp, they go like, "What grace do we sing?" And then someone just goes, "Oh," and then it's just started. And I appreciate that. Also, I like how you never know how long the O is gonna go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Cassidy, what do you got?
Yeah, Sam said the heavy hitters for me. Johnny Appleseed, it's just a classic. I like the beginning, how like, sometimes it's very uncomfortably long. And then, there's a split between Hallelujah and Johnny Appleseed. Sometimes that gets people riled up. But Brown Cow is a good one. I sometimes sleep on that one for breakfast, but that's a good one.
Maybe a
Very
quick,
much slept on. Very much slept on.
maybe a quick side question before I pass it over to Landon. Have either of you ever sang the doxology as a prayer before going in?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That was a Gene Gibson banquet classic. And a Sarah Grout lifeguard classic. Like when she was lifeguarding at banquet, her and Gene Gibson would like make sure that we sang the doxology, which also goes hard.
I was just
Especially
gonna
the
say-
banquet, it sets the tone.
Oh, it totally does. Yeah, I think it's super underrated. I just kind of forgot that was one that we had also sang. So who knows? Maybe it'll make a resurface at Teen Camp 2025. Get into the mix with Johnny Appleseed and Brown Cow. Landon, you got a question?
No. So you just finished your mac and cheese for breakfast. Now it's time for everyone's favorite chore, dishes. What is your favorite role? And this is, I guess, a two-parter. What role do you get assigned? What's your favorite role? And also, do you have any stories from the dish pit?
For me, like definitely the role that I've done the most is drying, just because like you need the most bodies on drying. Favorite role is washing, and that's just because I trust myself more than I trust other people sometimes about the quality of the job being done. And so that's kind of my dish pit story. I remember like small fry and stuff, all the singing that would go on, and like the sock song would happen, and like just so much anxiety from that song. I can't think on the spot like that. So just like a lot of fear while drying dishes to just hope somebody forgot my name and so I'm not called on. Otherwise, just like a lot of chatting. I love the chat that happens in the dish pit.
Yeah. Favorite job, also washing. The amount of times though that I've been able to like, I don't know, at teen camp especially, we'll just have camp, like our campers, especially Cassie and I, we've always got like, it seems just the best group of girls who have been cabin leading all summer, and they can wash dishes and just do the whole process with their eyes closed to a better extent than we can, because they know any updated like rules that have happened or where things are kept better than we even do. So the amount of times where like something has come up, where like prepping for an activity and someone's like, "Hey Sam, can you just like help with this?" And I just go, or just get distracted chatting with someone and dishes are halfway through. And I'm like, "Oh, sorry guys." But I don't think like last year when I was working full time, I don't know if I did dishes once. Because it was kind of, I was working full time, Landon, and you have to remember that. Like I was just kind of like, things would happen and I'd be like, okay, I have to go, and like I have things that I have to do before the activities start if I'm gonna participate in the activities. And
I must also interject as somebody who cabin leads with Sam a lot. She's looking for those distractions.
oh,
Where
100% I am.
Wow.
if she can get busy doing something else, she'll take that opportunity. And I don't blame her.
Small camp, I didn't wash dishes once because we just did like choose your own chores kind of. And they're like, just try to make it equal. And I made sure I didn't do chores most days. I made sure that I was holding baby Anne every day after. So you can't ask someone to do work if they're holding a baby. And I got away with it. They made Nick and Marcel mop all of Manor House because they didn't do dishes once, or like didn't do dishes at all during the week. They found out, and I was just squeaking by unnoticed.
Yeah, some people were doing the work of two,
And it's always Cassidy. Cassidy takes my slack, and she's perfect.
I respect Cassidy being able to air you out like that on the pod.
Me too, as she should.
Well, we're back in Manor House. We're eating our mac and cheese and breakfast oatmeal collab meal here. And your elbows end up on the table. Lumpy rings you up from across the room, and you have to stand up to sing. Salty, have you been caught with your elbows on the table? And what are we singing?
I was caught one time with my elbows on the table. It was summer 2021, and it was when we ate outside. And this was like a long time standing that I'd never been caught, like all throughout being a kid. And it was because we were sat at the kids' picnic table, and it's so low that your arms just naturally fall, and we were also eating burgers. So it was
Ooh.
just like this position. Elbows fell onto the table. And yeah, I think I didn't know what to sing. Carmen told me to sing Dear John, but to change it to Dear Derek. And I forgot the words because I was so like nervous. Just singing and like it was just like this put on the spot made me so nervous.
Dear Derek, I see it all now. That was wrong.
Yeah.
Cool. Cassidy.
Yeah, I've mentioned a few times. My fear is too great to be called on to have my elbows on the table. So I am pretty strict. I've never been caught, never been called on.
Wow.
I've got too much fear about having to do that. So like I think I don't know what I'd pick, but like Celebration by Kool and the Gang came to mind.
Okay.
Not sure if I'd pull it off, but that's one. Or Oh Yeah by Yellow. That's also a good one. Not a lot of lyrics, but
Yeah. Campers, if you're listening and attending teen, have your eyes peeled. Sounds like we need another run at that Dear Derek, I think. We're going to transition down to Campfire. Caleb, you got one for Campfire?
Oh yeah. All right, picture this. You're heading down to Campfire. You just found out that it is going to be a dough bake meal. You head down to Campfire, you grab your stick, you grab your dough, you craft your dough bake, and you're sitting there cooking it, and you cook it to golden perfection. Landon sitting beside you, his is charcoal black. Jesse's on the other side eating a vegan hot dog, okay? You go over to the table, and there's all of the condiments for your dough bake spread out. What are you picking to put in your dough bake?
so I like to hit 3 options. I like to start off with a little butter. I like to melt the butter inside of the dough bake. And then as I'm looking at all the other options, I don't know why it always takes me so long to decide because it's always going to be after that butter, I'm going to put peanut butter in it. I like to double up on the butters. And then some raspberry jam.
Oh,
So that's my trifecta. And it's perfect.
That
first
sounds
mention
wonderful.
first mention of raspberry jam on the pod. Salty?
Historic moment.
We try to log all of these, yeah.
Yeah, definitely butter in. First, melt it all. You can't have like a clump of butter in there. That's no. And I also like melt it and then flip it over so that you don't have like a pool of butter at the bottom.
That's key to dough bake success.
Yeah, Cassidy and I have done it together. You do. Then I recently, this hasn't been forever, but they've done cream cheese.
Oh.
You do cream cheese and then a raspberry or strawberry jam. I've done it both. And it's like a cheesecake. Cheesecake dough bake is the best way I can describe it, and it is perfect. I've done cream cheese and the cinnamon sugar as well. Again, delicious. I've done cinnamon sugar and butter or just plain butter. I honestly just don't think you can go wrong. with dough bake, except for maybe if you're putting cheese whiz in there.
I do have to interject and say the little pool of butter at the bottom of my dough bake was always a real treat for myself, and I'm sure many other listeners. This is the first I'm hearing of somebody like DQ blizzarding their dough bake to try to like, are you trying to prove a point that you're better than me? Like, I don't understand.
It's just like it gets all over your hand and you get like butter drips on your clothes and then your clothes are like oil stained for the rest of the week. Like, I don't know. Maybe it was just growing up. Like there was probably a time where I wanted that butter pool at the bottom. But like blowing up, it was just like, it's just not worth it, man. I gotta think a little bit.
And like part of like the holding it upside down is to make sure you've got toppings all the way through the dough bake. It's not necessarily about that pool of butter.
Yeah, you're like
I love that
applying
pool.
it. Like it's a whole yeah, there's a strategy for sure. And Cassidy and I have honed that strategy.
We've
for years and
collaborated.
years.
Okay, well, we got a couple super dough bakers on the pod. Holy.
Now, Sam, you mentioned cheese whiz, so maybe I'll hit you with a this or that. Okay. And this goes for you as well, Cass, to hear your opinion. Would you rather have that pool of butter at the bottom of your dough bake? You are legally not allowed to flip it over and let it drizzle out. Okay. You will be arrested. So you have the pool of butter in the bottom of your dough bake. Are you doing that with nothing else in it? Or are you putting in cheese whiz? Would you rather have the pool of butter or cheese whiz? 1 or 2. It feels like I'm at the eye doctor right now. Okay.
I would say pool of butter, just because like it's just if it's just cheese whiz. Like I don't know. I don't think I would enjoy the entire dough bake. Whereas the pool of butter at the bottom, I would be like annoyed at the end, but like the rest would be so good.
That's fair. Pass.
I'm a little curious on this cheese whiz thing. Like I think I might try it if it's an option at teen camp. And like that's like venturing pretty far out for me. But if I'm going pool of butter and cheese whiz, like maybe I mix them together. I don't know.
Have you ever had cheese whiz before, Cass?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Just not in a dough bake. Correct.
Already not in the dough bake.
Okay. I was like, wow, this is a really big moment that we're talking about this right now. Okay.
I
So
was
you
gonna say that's a fair question. You made it seem like you had never touched it. Yeah.
No, sorry. I just meant with all this like dough bake cheese whiz debacle that's been happening.
I think as the ones who are in charge of teen camp, I think we could probably guarantee that happens. Could we maybe get an exclusive video on the pod, Cassidy trying cheese whiz on her dough bake.
Sounds great. I'll be there filming it and getting your immediate reaction. As soon as you take a bite, I'll have a microphone in your face. How is it?
I can't wait.
Yeah. Well, I got 2, but I just want to know what are your thoughts on cheese whiz in general, because that's another hot topic. Are you for or against?
I grew up putting like cheese whiz on a hot dog bun before you put your if you were like to have cheese with your hot dog, it's like you put cheese whiz with your hot dog. Anyone else do that ever? No. Anyway, yeah, my family did that. And so that's like, I don't know, that was the main way that I consume cheese whiz. We also would do cheese whiz and honey on toast.
That's pretty good.
Thanks, Cassidy.
Wow.
Because it sounds crazy, but it's pretty tasty actually. Not something I would go to as an adult, but like there is a very specific flavor that I just like. Yeah, it's cheese whiz and honey.
Whatever summer cheese whiz had like the Brent Butt from Corner Gas on the label, that was like the summer of cheese whiz. I don't know if you guys remember, but cheese whiz on everything. Buns, mostly just buns usually.
That's a deep dive for you cheese whiz corner gas heads out there.
Yeah. Some extremely deep diving too. Like we're talking way past the deep end.
I really hope I'm not making it up because like I really remember seeing that in the fridge.
Okay, so you finished your dough bake, you go back up, do your camp stuff. Then you're back on the beach. It's campfire time. Jesse brings out the guitar. You strum a song. what song is your number one request?
Man, this is like probably the toughest question to answer. I did like there's just so many. AJ and I this past summer, we would just go whenever a good song came out, we would just go like there were like lights going on or like bells like if someone scored a goal and we go banger alert and we would be so excited, but it would be like a slow song and so we'd have to do it really quietly. But we know we are Christians by our love, just like always slaps. And it's also like a deep enough register that I can sing it fairly easily. And then I personally also really like Lord of the Dance.
That's a good one.
We talk about I know you guys talked about like do you like action songs? Do you prefer no action songs? I like a sit down action song. I
Yeah.
like one where you're just doing it sitting down, but I like Lord of the Dance. I also like an action song where you're mixing with other people. And Lord of the Dance, like you get up and you do like the little square dancing, and I think that's very fun. And I also love the part where we slow down, the second last verse, and then we speed it up again when Jesus is risen. It's very fun.
Mhm. Good song. Great pull there. Cassidy.
Yeah, I have to agree with Sam. Those are two really good songs. I was talking to Sam earlier because I could not remember the name of this song, but Do Lord, I like that song quite a lot. How Great Thou Art, As a Deer, A Friend Like You, those are some great songs. Love to hear them.
Yeah, I like all of those too. The They'll Know We're Christians by Our Love. I typically don't even play guitar to that one. I feel like we just sing it as a group. Or
Chords, yeah.
Yeah.
But it always works really well. Like it's, yeah. Good one.
Right on. Still a campfire. There's these things called skits that happen down there sometimes. Usually it's like introducing your cabin. Sometimes it's something else. Any skits that come to mind? Fun stories around that?
Sam and I had a cabin one year. I think we were leaving in 3, and our cabin was called Full House, and we did like the little song and dance to like the theme song from Full House, and that was a pretty good one. Back in the day, we also we would have been in junior or small fry. We had like a Oompa Loompa song we made up. Do you remember that song?
Yeah, like whoa, that's a throwback. Yeah, like I just very vague memory of that. Yes. Wow.
I can't remember all the details. I just remember like we were the Oompa Loompas and we sang a little song there.
Weird choice of name for us, first of all. But yeah, some skits I remember. Like, do they have to be from us, like that we did, or like just in general, or?
In general, you can shout somebody out. Go right ahead.
I mean, I do remember Jesse, your skit with as the whistle pig. That,
Yeah.
that one was intense. Yeah. One time we were something like diamond or something. I can't remember something diamond with our name, and we played Shine Bright Like a Diamond by Rihanna, and we threw flour in the fire at like the end, and it went like super big. And I remember that just being very fun. Definitely did some wacky skits. I just remember too, like my favorite skit was the funnel skit, where they would have like a penny that have to put on their nose, and they had to funnel in their pants.
Right.
And then you would pour water into the funnel. And I remember everyone would be doing it, and I knew the skit, but I'm like, who's getting the water?
Right.
Sometimes they'd like double cross people, and they'd be like, they think it's you, but we're actually getting them because they do this skit all the time and have never gotten had it happen to them. So I just loved that as a kid. Like, who's it gonna be? And chances are it was Dylan Gillis.
That's for real. shout out friend of the pod. Moving on to cabins. Do you have a cabin that you've stayed in the most, or one that comes to mind?
Four.
Salty bunch of sort of stuff. Four.
100% 4. Cassidy?
I think it'd be cabin 4. I was between if it was cabin 4 or 5, but I think it was cabin 4.
We had like streaks because the time like there was like probably 3 or 4 summers in a row where we shared like 3 and 4 with the boys were in 4 and we were in 3, and it was always that we were in 3.
Are you thinking of-
sorry, 4 and 5. Sorry, 4 and 5. We were always in
Sorry,
4
yeah.
and the boys were in 5. And so we were like last year though we were in 5, and I remember just being in 5. I'm like, this just feels a little bit off. Like things are, it's like I'm in a mirror version of what I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, those log cabins. Shout out Ted, Morton, and crew. We appreciate those. And yeah, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're just something
Never-
about them.
Never stayed in 6, 7.
Me neither.
Ever?
Only stayed in them briefly. Yeah, because they're always boys' cabins because they're the furthest from the bathroom.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I've also never stayed in those cabins. 6 or 7, never been.
And I don't remember being in 1, 2. Like, I think like probably as a kid I stayed in them.
We
But
definitely stayed in both of those together.
Like I like there's just no way in all my years of camp that I've never stayed in them. But like I remember cabin leading in 3, and staying in 3. Like we stayed in 3 during small camp, but like just in general, like 4 and 5 were the majority of my camps. I remember like chanting cabin 4, you get scared when we walk out the door. Yeah. Marin, like shout out Marin, she was my cabin leader all the time in cabin 4, like year after year. We have some good memories.
So we won't get you to spill the beans about if there will be a night game at teen camp this year. But on the topic of night games, this is kind of like a 2-part question. The first part's going to be, have you ever won the night game? And the second part is, do you have like a favorite game or a favorite moment or a favorite story from night game? So maybe Cassidy, let's start with you. A, have you ever won a night game before? And then B, any standout moments?
So I need to start off with that I went to camp every year with Kat. So there was no chance I was winning a night game ever. And then when Kat was gone, Katrin was there. So there's never any W's for me on night game. And also, I'm always miles away. Like, I'm slow and cautious. Like, there's no way I'm winning a Mission Impossible here. I think we've played a different night game before too, but Mission Impossible is always the one that I think of when I think of night game. I don't know if I have any good memories of being like lost in the bush, but it's always fun.
Yeah, I also have never won. I employed the strategy of trying to trek through the bush and just being so loud and thinking I was so sneaky. People would shine their flashlights and they're like, actually, you're not even worth it. Like, they'd be like, someone's in there, but they couldn't say who it was. So they would just like duck down. They're like, nah, they're not. They're like going the wrong way. Or like, actually, we should probably tell them to turn around. Their rustling is getting further from the camp.
Like you haven't even hit the parking lot yet. You're like only like 20
didn't even know
yards
where
from
we
the
were.
ball
We were
field.
just having
Yeah.
fun in the bush, and like there was no strategy. Absolutely no strategy.
Like that's the thing about the bushes anyways, is that they're so dense and concentrated, and as the leaders on the outside, you have the whole perimeter of the bush. Like what it takes the camper 10, 15 minutes to get through, you can do 5 steps down the parking lot or the path, and you're meeting them right there. So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just
Especially when you're
lost.
trying to be sneaky and quiet, because it's just slowing you down even more.
Mhm.
Yeah. And yeah, like I say, like it felt like we were so far away, but we were probably 3 feet from the outsides at all time. Like,
I wanted to highlight the Catherine Wallace to Katrin Sinclair winning the night game, like pipeline them there of them essentially having the same first name. If you think about it, is kind of crazy. Thank you, Cassidy. I enjoyed that.
I just want to add, like, in that transition between Catherine Wallace and Katrin is like, because they all had the nickname Cat. So like Cat won the night game. I'm like, she's back. She came back and won. Drove me up a wall. Anyway, so Sleepy Hollow is no longer with us, but we all have our fair share of memories and ongoing shenanigans that went on in there. What are your stories or anything he got about Sleepy Hollow?
Man, I remember hiding in the cupboard during cabin leader hunt. One of my early years as a cabin leader, like the white cupboard, I had to like take out craft supplies, but then I also had to hide the craft supplies so that wasn't so obvious that I was in there. And by the end, I don't think they were white anymore. It was like we weren't allowed to write our names on them, and then eventually someone wrote their names and started then it just led down the path of destruction of the white cupboards, but they were still white at that point. And then dress up, like those dress up bins. Yeah, finally adding my name and like putting effort into it. There were times where I'd like just like write it. We had like a marker and we just like write your name on the wall as a kid during craft time. But like the first time I actually like took paint and like thought about it and like I had to like climb up. I wrote it like kind of on the roof. I had to like climb up and do it. Like it felt like a big moment.
As Sam said, cabin leader hunt, it made me think of like when we'd play cabin leader hunt and some guys would sometimes go in the trap door of Sleepy and hide under there. It was just like, that's probably the grossest spot I could think of to hide in. But they put in the effort and didn't always get found. And yeah, I agree. Like the first time you actually take paint, like you took paint and like painted it nicely in an area that you knew it wouldn't be covered over the next year. And then like coming back and then you see it and just like how excited you are to see that. That was always awesome and Sleepy. And like Campfire always like was a little bit different in there and like how like the floor would move with the group if we were doing like a motion song.
It shouldn't have done that. That was part of the problem.
But it's just memorable,
It was fun.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah. I even think too, like of like Marin and Caleb's names. And then you had like married like the 1 year. Oh, like it was so cute.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, like you both just shared, I feel like when I first signed my name, it was during a craft time. I had a green crayon and I just scribbled it on and I was like, yes, I finally did it. And then the more time you spend at camp, you just kind of put that love and passion into like putting your name on the wall. And it's almost like that sense of ownership and belonging to something a bit bigger. But yeah, like you said, Sam, I remember in the back corner of the kitchen part area writing my name up there and then Marin's name as well. And then we kind of had the progression through the years where it was like 2012, 2013 dating, and then it went to engaged, and then it went to married. And I remember looking at it one last time kind of before Sleepy came down. And I'm like, man, this is such a big part of all of our lives. And like what a truly special building and place it was. So, I mean, thank you for highlighting that sentiment about, yeah, it just felt so good to be a part of something bigger. I think you guys hit it right on the head.
Speaking of Sleepy, often it was the main venue for the talent show on the last night. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I do not recall seeing either of you up on the stage over the years, and that could just be ignorance. So please remind me if you were there. And second part, any performances that stand out over the years. Cassidy, why don't you start us?
I've never been a performer, but I love taking it in. Like the music is always one of my favorites, like either original piece or cover. Landon's impressions, of course, are always a staple, and now I've transitioned into the emceeing role. That's always pretty fun to watch. And I just like love seeing the campers now, like as a staff member, like seeing the campers who are willing to get up there and show their talent, because it is incredible, just like anything that they can come up with or that they just have a natural ability for. It's always really great.
Yeah.
Chelsea?
I haven't done a teen camp talent show performance. as part of the staff at Camp Leader training, as part of a fashion show, which is a tradition that they do there. Taylor informed me, so I had no choice. And it was embarrassing but very fun. And I don't know, yeah. Cassie talked about Landon's impressions. I just have this like memory of Landon. He was emceeing at this point, and he's just doing a little comedy thing in between, and he just had a cup of water and he knocked it over. And I don't know if it was just like that that I was so overtired, and he just goes, "A little bit of physical comedy for you guys there." And I cried laughing. Like it was the funniest thing I think I've ever seen. It was so funny. It was just so dumb and so funny. It was
One of
awesome.
those you had to be there moments.
It totally was. But and that's like kind of part of the beauty of it is I try to explain it, and there's just nobody gets it.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's impossible to explain. It's like he had a cup of water and then he dropped.
And he dropped it.
There was also another time when Landon was emceeing, and then like him and Garen got on their backs, and you guys started like pretending you were riding bikes. And I just remember laughing so much. It was just like you're prepared to laugh, so you do, even though it's not groundbreaking. Feels like it.
That was awesome. I think that was in Manor House that time, wasn't it?
Mhm.
I know we talked a little bit about this kind of in the early moments of the episode, and we're kind of concluding here because we've taken up a lot of your guys' time, but maybe just to revisit it just quickly again, thinking about all your years back at Camp Okema, maybe one last shout out to any camper, staff, volunteer who greatly impacted your time at Camp Okema and kind of who has kept you coming back year after year.
I like one thing I was thinking about when Amber got the position this year was how happy I was to have like her as a like teen camp, like old teen camp leader, and then also have Jesse there as an old teen camp leader, just knowing that they would be at teen camp. The first year that we were doing it was just like it just feels so right and like such a huge blessing. Because yeah, like just those teen camps. And Amber actually led like the teen camps from when I was a teenager. Like my first ever teen camp was Amber led. It was her and Jeff, I think. So like, yeah, having her there was like, I thought of when she got hired, I was like, wow, it's just going to be really, really special that she's there. As far as a camper goes, I mean, I've had all of my girls know that they have such a special place in my heart. Want someone also who's going to be there up working this summer is my girl Katrina. Her first time ever in my cabin. She's 13 years old. She holds up a hot pink comb and she just goes, "I named this comb Samantha." And it is just like, I was like, that's my girl. Like, you just can't beat stuff like that.
Yeah, we've already name dropped so many names, and I know that we're missing some, but like yeah, and Sam mentioned like having Amber and Jesse at the teen camp that we're leading for the first time is pretty lucky, and we're very fortunate. But like Amber and Carmen all through like teenage camper years, they were huge. Like Marion, you two, Landon as well, like the whole young adult crew. All of our campers that we've seen, like that were campers with us, and then staff, and now we're watching like new generations of campers come up. They're all so important, like Stephen and John, the Grouts, just in general, and like my family is like a pretty big part of Okema for me too. Like I went to camps with all of my cousins because we're all the same age, or like they were my cabin leaders and my siblings, and like that's just a huge part of Okema for me.
100%. I think of our like, I don't know, I'm thinking of it as like the razzing crew of like the young adults coming up who aren't like the Landon, the Derek, the like me and you, and we would just like joke around and just like be laughing at everything. And Grant was in there too. Grant and I had like I called him like a frenemy for no reason. And he thought I was serious, and I had to explain that I was just including him. And we were really happy he was there. But yeah, like just those groups, like yeah, there's just like it's something so special about coming to camp every summer and just like knowing the people that you're going with, and you don't hang out with them, like you only hang out with them for a week a year, but just those friendships are stuff friendships I think about all throughout the year. And
Absolutely. This is typically the part of the pod where we all say nice things about each other. And I'm going to continue that. You two have been just, I've said this before on other pods, it's like we're all living in this long-standing sitcom, that is Camp Okema. And we've all just developed as characters and friends and family to me. And I'm sure to everybody on this call. And I think it goes without saying that my camp experience has only been positively impacted by an immeasurable number by you two. So thank you for being there for all those years, not only as kids that I probably led in like a activity group or something years ago, to being cabin leaders or like co-cabin leaders, however you want to phrase that, to staff members, people I see outside of camp, people who've supported me in my own endeavors. I just, you two are my friends, but I also just, I love you both and thank you for how much you've given both to Camp Okema and will continue to give to Camp Okema. So thank you for that.
I mean, what I'll just say is, and maybe Sam can relate to this, is that you two, Sam and Cass, as well as you, Jesse, Landon, and everyone else name dropped, it's these people that made, whether it was a 5-hour drive from Wainwright or a 4.5-hour drive from Karamport, it's because of all of you that made that all worth it. And just being able to create these friendships and relationships, even if it was just over 1 week, and the fact that these are still going strong and they're still going into our adult life, where I know for me, people that I spent every day in high school, I don't even talk to some of those people anymore. And like, shouldn't they have more of an impact or be a part of my life than the people that I just saw for 1 week during the summer for some of those years, right? So it was because of your friendship, because of your kindness, because of your love, right? That has kept all these people at Camp Okema. So thank you, Sam and Cass, so much for being such a big part of my development life during those early 2010s, and showing me what it means to be leaders, what it means to be friends, what it means to care for other people, and just helping make me who I am today, which I think is a pretty cool person. And I think you guys are pretty cool. Landon's fine. Jesse's pretty awesome. So thank you so much for coming here today and just being who you are.
This is so nice, you guys.
That's so nice.
So nice.
That Landon line was crazy.
It's crazy. But meanwhile, you guys, like Jesse goes, I'm sure you both have nice things to say, and Landon is going,
Lumpy, your rebuttal.
It was a joke. Well, I don't know. I'm going to be able to follow that. Yeah, I don't know. I grew up at camp with you guys. I don't know. You're pretty much the reason I kept coming back. It was like this group of friends need to keep coming back so I can see them every year. And yeah, you guys have always been there. Here we are in a leading role. Or you guys in a leading role. I'm still a dummy on kids, but
Someone has to do it, man.
yeah. Might as well be this guy. But yeah, no, it's awesome seeing how things have made their way to where we are now. And yeah, I can't thank you guys enough for just being you guys, laughing at all my dumb jokes, making me think I'm funny. And also having your own dumb jokes too. Like you're not.
oh, I'm telling dumb jokes too. One
Yeah.
time, Landon, one time you told me I was one of the funniest people ever. So, and I think it goes both ways.
It was late at night at
Some
some
recognize dumb.
Speaking of dumb, this brings us to our last question of the night.
That's excellent segue.
The question everyone's dying to know. We've all heard the legends, the rumors, the myths. We've even heard of new characters coming into the fold. What do you know about the Moose Man?
So my first interactions with like hearing something about Moose Man was like I remember hearing like just like little rumors or like snippets of conversations, but like never being like the person being told the information. So it was like you'd hear some rumors, but I was never bold enough to like inject into the conversation and ask some questions. I just remember always understanding that there was a moose head in Sleepy Hollow, but then there was also a Moose Man. So then, and like Katrina brought this up when she was being interviewed, where it was like the moose head would go on to somebody, and that is kind of what I understood as well. And that was my first hearing of the Moose Man and like my understanding and picture of him.
Okay. Salt.
I recently had a Moose Man revelation, and I don't want to get too into it on the pod. But I will say, y'all don't need to be afraid of the teenager eating Moose Man in the trees.
That is some team camp foreshadowing right there.
It'll be awesome.
Listen, Caleb's going to ask, but I'm going to step ahead of this. You don't believe this whole Moose Man bite crap, do you?
Craziest thing I've heard. That's only Caleb would hear that.
Caleb thinks he heard it. He made it up in his head. Caleb will make the craziest things in his head.
No. I mean, you don't have to believe it, but it can still happen. Okay. I think even if it's a lick or a bite or something, a lick. Yeah, he has a very raspy tongue. It can, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, I think it. You know what? This is the hill that I die on. I don't need to keep defending myself episode in, episode out. Jesse knows where I stand. Landon knows where I stand. I think he believes it too. He just doesn't want to lead on to it. However, I am very
like a cheese touch.
Yeah, but just with his teeth. But yes, essentially the teeth touch. Anyways, I feel like we are digressing here, but essentially what I want to say is, yes, he bites people. Yes, it transfers to other people, but I am very intrigued by you saying that we may not need to worry about it anymore come teen camp.
Or maybe we do. We'll see.
Yeah, we're going to be spreading the fear more than ever at Teen Camp 2025.
Our theme of the week is just fearmonger.
By the way, campokema.com/registration. Anyways, Cass, Sam, thank you both so much. You've given us, this will definitely be the longest episode to date, but it was absolutely worth it. Twice as many guests, twice as many stories, twice as much fun. You two are awesome, and going into your first ever summer as leaders of Teen Camp at Camp Okema, I hope you two are excited. I'm certainly so excited, and I hope this is the first of many. Honestly, I think that one of the great things about Okema is the chance for, you put a few years in and kind of build a bit of a legacy, and I really, truly, honestly, in my heart, hope for that for you too. So thank you again for coming on and being on the Camp Okema podcast. Do you two have any last words or things you want to plug before we tie this up?
Campokema.com, register for Teen Camp. I will personally guarantee a fun time. I have nothing to give you if you don't have a fun time, but I will just vouch that it will be a fun time. Yeah, please come on. We actually have a decent amount registered right now. We have a good crew going into it, but the more the merrier. And we would just love to see you there. Doesn't matter if you haven't been to camp for a while. Doesn't matter if you've never been. Bring your friends. There's room for everyone. It'll be an awesome week. Cassidy and I cannot wait. We've been dreaming about this moment, thinking about this moment, talking about this moment for a very long time. And yeah, we're so excited and scared and all the feelings about it being here.
Sam wrapped it up beautifully. I can't say anything else than like register for camp, be there, bring your friends. Even if they've never been to camps before, like anybody fits in. Like sure, maybe the first half a day is awkward, but after that, everybody's part of the crew. We've got these campaign teams to make sure that you meet all people in the camp. You've got your cabin, you've got your friends. There's all these silly activities that we do together that just like build friendships that last a long time. This crew on the podcast here today is proof of that, you build friendships that last outside of camp and hopefully the rest of your life, come to camp. We're super excited.
Thanks, guys. Landon, any last things to plug?
Actually, I do want to plug something. The camp that held me and a bunch of people under fighting fires, me only for 3 days, but other people for a long time, is St. John Bosco Wilderness Camp. They had a couple buildings get burnt down in the fire. I'm looking at their Instagram right now. They have a fundraiser up. Give them some love and shout out to them for keeping us well fed and a roof over our heads. That's all I got to say for that.
Yeah, we'll put the link to the donation in the description of this episode. Kaleb.
I mean, nothing to plug, but maybe one just last thing for Sam and Cass. I know both of you said that it'll be big shoes to fill, but I can tell you from personal experience, the shoes only look big from a distance. I know once you guys get there and you put them on, it's going to be like Cinderella, going to be the perfect fit. All right. And I hope you wear those shoes for a long time. That's what I got for you.
Thanks, Caleb.
Thank you.
I'm excited to see who tries on my size 13s. Anyways, with that, folks, I just want to highlight something that Kaleb said. We go up there for 1 week of summer. You build lifelong friends. You go to high school with people for 4 years and you stop talking to them when they're done. That was poetic, bro. I did not say it as well as you did, but that cut me deep in the best way possible. Camp Okema, it's awesome. We are here tonight with our 2 amazing special guests, Sam and Cassidy, the future of Team Camp leadership. This has been episode number 10, 2 digits of the Camp Okema Podcast. If you prefer watching this episode, check us out on YouTube. Hit the like button and subscribe. If you prefer listening to your podcasts, we're chilling on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you want to keep up with the latest from us, we're on Facebook and Instagram at Camp Okema Pod. Feel like sending us an email? You can send that to campokemapodcast@gmail.com. For my 2 co-hosts, Landon and Kaleb, for our 2 wonderful guests, Sam and Cassidy, my name is Jesse. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you at camp.
See you at Team Camp.